What made you decide to come back to Australia?
Got a phone call from Justin Hemmes. The vision and the brief, the what is the space comes from Justin, and he's next level. Working at Merivale, anything we can think of is put on the table. It's like, let's do that, let's try that. As a migrant child, you're just constantly trying to prove yourself. I remember thinking to myself, when I'm published in AD, I've made it. Nothing is ever good enough. And maybe this is a challenge as a designer as well.
Yeah.
You think you've done the best project and you've done the best thing ever, but you're on to the next and you're like, I've got to keep going. I've got to keep pushing. When does it end?
I'm Linda Habak, and this is Build Beautiful, where design meets depth. In a world of fast-moving projects and polished interiors, Nasim Koerting reminds us that great design begins within. As Design Director of Merivale, Nasim leads the vision behind some of Australia's most iconic hospitality spaces, venues known not just for their style, but for their atmosphere and soul. But her path to this role wasn't linear. Born into a family that fled political unrest and arrived in Australia as refugees, Nasim grew up with a deep awareness of displacement, resilience, and the power of place. That history now shapes everything she creates, from the way she layers materials to the way she curates feeling, memory, and experience into each venue. In this episode, we talk about identity, creative freedom, and what it means to design from a place of intuition and integrity. We explore the dance between constraint and vision and how Nasim stays grounded while leading at scale. If you've ever wondered how to hold on to your voice in the noise or how to create beauty that truly stays with people, this is a conversation for you. Welcome to Build Beautiful. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, such a pleasure. I'm really, really excited to have this conversation with you today. Your story spans continents, cultures, and industries, but I'd love to understand, what was your first connection to place and to space, and how did it sort of impact you emotionally?
I did fall into this career a little bit, quite lucky, because I think here in Australia you have to kind of pick your studies quite early.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to do something design or something creative. I wasn't quite sure. And I landed in interiors, serendipitously. I don't know how it happened. So it wasn't something that I really intended to do. Actually, once I started working, I was like, I cannot believe someone is paying me to do this. I was so shocked.
Yeah.
Like putting a palette together. Yeah. So I think my first feeling for space and interiors was actually working. Right. I didn't quite understand it before then. So not
something that came through childhood or you saw someone do it?
Not really. Like my child, yeah.
That's great.
Not really. I think when I started to work in it is when I appreciated it more than anything. Yeah, because my childhood, interestingly, and you having a Lebanese background would understand, like, our house was insane, like just so gold everywhere and like the Persian rugs everywhere and leather sofas. It was very Iranian feeling.
Iranian.
Very Persian.
Okay, so I want to go back. This perfect segue, actually. So your parents were refugees to Australia. They escaped political unrest from Iran, and you were born a few years after. What was life like for you as a migrant child? Because as we spoke, I totally resonate with your upbringing because I have the same upbringing. My parents also escaped war in Lebanon. And unless you experience it yourself, it's really hard to articulate to others. So I'd love to get your perspective on it and share that actually for context.
I think it was like we were very lucky to grow up in Australia, and like I know my family and friends in Iran have such a tough time, especially being a woman in Iran. So I know we were super lucky. But I guess there's always a sense of, where do I belong? Am I Australian? I'm not Iranian, but they tell me I'm not Australian. So it just this kind of back and forth growing up and trying to understand what my identity is. So I did experience like a lot of freedom when I moved overseas, and I was kind of a person of the world, and I loved that. And that's when I think I was able to grow a lot. And coming now back to Australia, I feel a strong sense of being Australian. But yeah, it's an interesting identity question, I think, for us migrant children.
Absolutely, because I think you don't realize you're different until, for me, it was when I sort of, not so much at school, even though that was certainly my husband's experience. And for me, it was when I joined the workforce. I didn't realize I was different. And I was walking around in an advertising agency, the only Lebanese kid the only Lebanese person in the whole building. I still didn't realize I was different. But then it sort of automatically dawned on me that, oh my God, like I'm a migrant kid from Granville taking the train in and everyone's from the lower North Shore. Like I just didn't have a sense of difference. And then I think you're like the rose-coloured glasses come off. And I think in many ways for me that innocence got me through. That lack of sort of awareness about it. And it came later for me in life. But I get that sort of struggle of identity is I feel very Lebanese, but I also feel very Australian. And how did you deal with it? What were the experiences that you had that defined that struggle for you?
Yeah, like growing up and in high school, I remember it was very much like, oh, that ethnic group stick with that group and that group stick with that group. So for me, it was a moment in high school where I was like, oh, I am of that group. So I'm going to sit with those people, not those because we're different, which is such a shame. I think, and I hope it's different now. There was a roadmap for a migrant child. You were a dentist, you were a doctor, a lawyer.
Yes.
And to break free of that was, luckily I have very forward-thinking parents. The community around, though, it's like those 4 career. I think it's literally dentist, doctor, lawyer,
teacher,
maybe.
Maybe teacher.
Maybe
even
teacher.
that's not good enough, actually. To be honest,
exactly, which is crazy.
It's like you didn't quite make it.
Yeah, so exactly. So you'd be a teacher, which is awful because that is the next generation. But luckily, I had parents who knew I was different and. You know, I'd spend my days drawing. Like that's all that was the way I functioned as a kid. I was just drawing all day. So they fostered that. I mean, even my mum to some extent was like, but you know, you're going to be a doctor, right? And I was like, I don't like blood. And it was my dad primarily who really like helped push me in that direction and pushed me towards architecture, probably not knowing what he was pushing me towards because it's tough. It's a tough industry to be in.
Really hard.
And to make it through.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an interesting experience to break from that tradition and pick a different
what was that
career.
like? In terms of not just with your family, but I know with Lebanese and I imagine Iranians are very similar. You don't just live with your family. You are in a wider community of uncles and aunties and family and friends that are like family. And so everyone has an opinion about these things. So did you get any pushback or did you get any, the quiet sniggers in the background that,
a lot of those. Yeah, a lot of those. But I think they always knew I was different. I was like a bit of an oddball child.
Yeah.
So it was accepted. It was like, okay, because my older sister went to finance and my younger sister is a lawyer. So they ticked those boxes for me. Thank you very much, sisters. So I was able to do something a bit different. And I think now that my career's kind of progressed and I have a portfolio of work to show for it, family, friends now understand what I do and they accept it because they're like, oh yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah.
She builds things and makes spaces.
Yeah. And boy, do you build things and make spaces. But I want to touch on a point because I think definitely from my experience, what I see with migrant kids, it's a subconscious underlayer of, I want to say success, but that's actually not even the right word. I think there is a feeling that we need to really be something and to keep creating and pushing. And it's unspoken, it's subconscious, it's in our DNA. And I think part of that, because it's taken me years of self-work to understand that about myself. It's like, why do I continue feeling like I have to continue to be something and to do something and to push? But I think it is subconscious. So that's what I see for you. You know, you have 2 very successful siblings, top and tail, and then you're in the middle. But boy, have you created this incredible, rich career. You haven't just gone out and been an architect or a designer. Like you're doing it at this incredible scale. So do you resonate with that?
1,000%. I'm so glad you brought this up because it's being real about this experience. It is like a constant, as a migrant child, and a lot of people who are listening will understand, you're just constantly trying to prove yourself and your worth in the world. That's what it feels like to me anyway. Just producing. I've got to do it bigger. I've got to do it better. Nothing is ever good enough. And maybe this is a challenge as a designer as well.
Yeah.
You think you've done the best project and you've done the best thing ever, but you're on to the next and you're like, I've got to keep going. I've got to keep pushing. When does it end?
When does it end? And when is enough? And when is, because I always say this in design, you're only as good as your last project. Like, especially if you're being published, you're only as good as the last project that's published, which is really sad because you never get to stop and just be. And I think that's really, I'm trying to remind myself, just chill. Take a chill pill and enjoy the moment and enjoy the project or enjoy whatever it is you're doing at that moment. So are you coming to learn that about yourself, and what are you doing to try and kind of just be present in it?
That's exactly what I'm trying to do, is be present. And instead of looking at this as an end product, it's about the journey. I know that sounds so cliche, but it means let's enjoy the ups and downs and the movement of the project. Let's enjoy working well with my team when that works well. Let's enjoy discovering new materials and doing something different instead of waiting for the outcome. If I just finish the project, I'll be happy. Or if I just finish that thing, if I get published, I'm going to be happy. But
that little chestnut.
Exactly. Like, I've shared this before, but I remember thinking to myself, when I'm published in AD, I've made it.
Yeah.
Everything after that is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And I remember when I was published, I was in the magazine, I was on the website, and I just was like, that's it? Is it, aren't I supposed to feel amazing? And isn't everything supposed to come to me after that? And I'm like, no, you keep pushing, you keep doing that. So I guess the point is to be fully present in your experience and try and enjoy it. And I am not good at that, but I am trying every day. Trying.
Do you also think, when you said I got published in AD and everything's meant to come to me, do you think part of that is also, it's like a perception of a perception? We sort of build up this idea in our head, but actually, did it feel empty, or did it just feel like nothing? Or did you have a moment to be present in it and enjoy it?
I think I really enjoyed that project. It was my sister's house that got me published in Dubai. When I think back to that project, it's actually the joy that my sister had in seeing an interior that personified her and her husband's personalities and marriage and family life they're trying to create. And that for me was amazing. Like, not necessarily my taste, there's a marble and a lot of brass and things that I don't have in my house, but it brought me so much joy that they felt like this is them in an interior. That's quite cool. So more than anything, I think that was the right thing. Like, they still have the pieces, they still love the pieces, and they talk about them. So for me, that's the joy in it. Yeah. But that being said, like, being in AD was awesome.
Oh my
so
God.
Cool.
Like,
so cool.
How like, incredible is that?
Looking at the pages, I was like, oh my God, I'm in there. There's my face. There's my name. It was crazy.
That's like a dream. That's the holy grail.
Yeah, it is the holy grail.
Pretty much every designer I know. That's amazing. I just want to trace back the trajectory for a moment. You go to university. What is university life like? And then when you said you went away internationally, where did you go? What did life look like there?
Yeah, I've had a fun time. Finished high school, had to pick a career at the age of 17, which is bonkers.
So young.
So young. So I picked interior architecture, got accepted, didn't know what it was. Only when I went overseas, I spent a year living in Israel, just had a beautiful experience there. It was only when I returned and started to work, then I understood what I was doing and why I was doing it. So it was just an incredible experience work for me. I had beautiful mentors who helped me through my uni, and I started to do well at university. Yeah, started to understand what space was, what I was creating, because I think at uni you kind of study things that were like design Willy Wonka's house, and it's just so up in the air. So it was nice to kind of, to kind of get it. And then I did an exchange semester in Valencia in Spain, and that shaped a lot of my design path as well. I mean, it was a lot of just having fun, but
nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. That also shapes your life. So once I returned, I really felt like I could take my career and understand it a bit more and be more devoted to it. And then I moved to London and I had a glorious about 9.5 years there. And that's where I worked in all these different practices with design, all these different designers, and had such a colorful, wonderful experience. I'm so glad that I did that. It really propelled and pushed me. I think in Australia, there's a little bit of, I'm going to say tall poppy. People hold you down a little bit, but going to London, they just, if you work hard and you're dedicated, they push you even further. And they're like, oh, you're a hard worker, you're talented. Here you go. Here's more opportunity. Here's more opportunity. So in London, I was just able to flourish.
When you say you were able to flourish and you were supported to sort of grow and do these amazing things, what did that look like in practice? What does that mean exactly?
Well, in London, I didn't have such a straightforward career. So I started as an interior designer, and then I worked for an incredible developer called TOG, the Office Group. So they do amazing workspace, and I got to work with designers from around the world, and I did a lot of creative direction, design direction in that position too. So I went from what I thought I was always going to do. I'm just an interior designer. I'm just doing this road the way it is. And then I got to experience a complete different role where I was involved in all aspects of it, from marketing to FF&E and selecting designers to work with. So it was just a very different creative direction sort of experience.
Yeah.
So it didn't go so linear for me, and I'm so grateful because just it is a much richer experience. So I think doing that in London was amazing. And yeah, like I said, if you work hard, they really reward you over there. So I got to travel and do incredible things and go to amazing places.
And so 9.5 years, what made you decide to come back to Australia?
Got a phone call from Justin Hemis. We chatted, we were connected through a friend, and he was looking to start an in-house team. So we chat on the phone and quite quickly decided to come back.
That's amazing. And so you lead design across, it's one of the most iconic it is the most iconic hospitality portfolio in Australia. What does that look like for you, and what does that level of responsibility feel like for you?
It is a roller coaster. It's incredible, and the responsibility is huge and nothing I take lightly, but it's something I enjoy immensely. It's just incredible to get to work alongside Justin and Bettina. They already had a wealth of experience before I started creating incredible spaces. So all of a sudden I'm in this position, I'm like, I'm learning so much from these guys because they don't have that. And I love this about them, that this like rigid formal design education where we're like, this needs to align and this needs to look like this. They're so free and they think about the people that are experiencing the space. And that makes me a much better designer now. So working with them, I've learned so much, and just working on some insane projects. They have vision, and anything we can think of is put on the table. It's like, let's do that. Let's try that. So I haven't ever worked in a more creatively free space ever, which is incredible. Wow. I'm like pinching myself.
That was my next question, is how do you balance creative freedom with the expectation of brand and business and audience? Like, how do you straddle all of those requirements? Because they are thinking about it from a patron perspective, but I would imagine there would be some constraints around making sure it sits under that Merivale brand, and also budget constraints. Maybe there aren't budget constraints, but how do you balance all those things?
It feels like quite an intuitive thing. I think often we probably challenge some of those questions that even we put together, like brand, or this is the Merivale look, or it's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to, or Toddy's did well, so let's, do it like Toddy's. I think we ourselves working at Merivale challenge that all the time and try and create something new. There's a lot of constraints. Time is a major one for us because, if we have a space and it's sitting empty, it's important to get it running as a venue so that people are able to experience it and it's functioning. So
and income generating.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
Property is expensive.
For sure. But those constraints can often be so challenging, but also a lot of fun. Like things like trying to source in stock, which all designers will know is like super challenging. But it's so fun. Like, I've just had an incredible, like this year, for example, we travel to France to find and source vintage objects for our restaurants and venues. And that was mind-blowingly fun.
And so talk to me about that experience. Are you going there with a very specific list of items you're sourcing, or are you going there with some level of freedom where you just go, we're going to go see what we find, fill a container and bring it back? How do you approach that sourcing experience?
It's a bit of both. So sometimes we'll know, okay, I need like this sort of lamp or this lamp for this project. So we have those. But in general, it's, again, this intuition of being like, I know I don't need that lounge chair, but I know it's right for us. So let's get it and let's get it across and see where it fits. So we're so lucky that we've got space where we can house these items, and when they're ready to go, they're out there. And it's crazy. Like the other week, we were putting together the press, the project that we...
Oh, I was going to talk about the press,
great.
so you go and then I'll...
Yeah, like, and we had a table from the restaurant Lotus, which Justin and Bettina did years ago. I don't even know.
One of my favourite restaurants. Yeah, my husband and I, that was our place that we would go on date night.
The cheeseburger? Was it the cheeseburger? Yeah, so good. I don't even know if I went because it was
a long time
ago. But incredibly, like, we had this warehouse space and we found these old school mirrored tables from that restaurant and we used them at the press.
Because
like,
also they used to have like a back room in Lotus, I'm pretty sure. And that's where I think those little, well, that's my recollection of it. You might be right. But back room, and then it was just so cool. It was very cool. We used to feel very cool going to that restaurant.
Love that. I feel like that is the best, that we get to like experience these things again. And it's just a lesson to me that things come back around, so keep them. And they'll come back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it really speaks to that whole circular economy, being sustainable, reusing. I think that's an amazing thing. Do you ever find constraints can actually help the creative process? Like, have you sort of made peace with the fact that being in such a fast-paced environment, that constraints can actually be a lever to pull on creatively?
I've learned in this role that when things go wrong, it always seems to work out for the better. I don't know what it is. Like the other week, we had these breeze blocks show up to site and they were the complete wrong colour. And I was so upset. I was like, this is wrong. This is so wrong. Spoke to the supplier and they're like, we don't have any more of the old colour you wanted, but there was reasons, whatever. And then they were like, we have a different block. And I was like, it's wrong. It's a different shape. It's not what I wanted. And then they put it together and it has made the project even better. Wow. So it's embracing those challenges and moments and seeing what comes of it. Yeah. But I'm learning that in this role more than anything. I don't think I've ever experienced this sort of magic where things are just working out in a different way, and that's okay.
Well, going back to press, I love the press, and I actually went there for a drink with Peter Mikic, who is he was on the podcast. I recorded with him in London. So he just finished the Faina Hotel in New York and it opened, and he was in Australia and we went for a drink at the press, and he's like, this is wild. I mean, so like, one interior designer of a hotel and spaces saying, this is wild. It's amazing. He loved it. We loved it. It was incredible. And it felt really good to be in that space. I look at those spaces and I just go, I'm just never going to be able to come up with these wild, incredible ideas. So what is the process that you go through?
So genuinely, there is a team of us. Like, there is no superstar in the room. Working with Justin and Bettina, they have so much vision. It's a team effort. We all bring things to the table, all bring different things. And I'm now realizing that that's, for me, the best design. We think that it's a superstar that's sitting with the ego and that tells everyone the direction. But we have such a blast making these spaces. Like, I was sitting with Bettina and we did all the fabrics together. I was just looking down at it and I was like, is this really bad? And she's like, no, I think it's okay. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm really confused. But she was like, no, just trust the process. She's so calm and wonderful. Yeah. And she's just like, just trust it. And she's right. It all came together in the end. But
so beautiful.
Very, very much a team effort. And I've never worked somewhere where it's so much like that. Like, our junior designers will bring things to the table. I'll bring things. Bettina, Justin, I saw this, flick across an image. And that's also how we work, because we also work with architects and interior designers designers, it's exactly how we work with them. It's just so incredibly collaborative. I found this, I did this. We've never had this process of like, I'm presenting concept to you and you tell me if you like it. I haven't worked in this way and I love it.
It's
and
very flat and everyone has a voice.
Everyone has
sounds like.
a voice.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
It's really
that
incredible.
makes me really happy actually to know that because I feel good in the spaces. So to know that it's come from this collaborative communal process, kind of just as a designer, it just, really feeds to that part of my soul that loves that creative process. And I think to do it with other people is really special.
Absolutely.
And it gives it its magic, really.
Yes. Yeah. But I should definitely say that the vision and the brief, the what is the space comes from Justin and he's next level. His ideas are something often that we can't conceive just yet for Sydney. And that was the same with the press. You would think that a space like that, you just couldn't imagine it in Sydney.
It feels like, honestly, when I walked up the 4 flights of stairs, by the way, which nearly killed me.
Yep.
But once you get
That's part of the experience.
It's fun. It's like, is this ever going to end? Am I here yet? Am I there yet?
And that red light and the graffiti.
Know, exactly. And then you walk in and it really felt like I'd stepped into somewhere I would go in New York. And it was a visual feast, honestly. And I'm not just talking about the overall feeling of it, but then, because of course, as designers, you're always looking at the detail. Every detail was considered. It was just so well layered and so well considered. And you're sitting there going, how do people come up with this stuff and do it at speed as well? Because I imagine you're working around the clock to execute these projects and do it at that level. I'd like to understand, because it's commercial spaces, are you limited in terms of what material selections you make? Like, are there any restrictions around that?
We do challenge a lot because I think it's just like where you work with different, let's say the AC guy says you need a duct this big and you need we do challenge and luckily Justin and Bettina have done this for a very long time. So they're able to be like, actually, we know that we only need this sort of electrical cupboard and this. Yeah. So it's quite good in that way. But it's a big challenge, especially like we're often asking ourselves, is that table going to survive if someone dances on it?
Yeah.
Is that chair going to break if someone dances on it? We're constantly, because everybody wants to dance on every surface. We're asking ourselves those questions, but we do like to challenge it. I think I personally like to challenge it because I'm hoping people are respectful of these things. Like there's some really lovely vintage lights in that space. And someone else will be like, oh no, they're going to break. Don't put something that nice. But do you want those beautiful lights? You want to sit in that beautiful space with the vintage curtain and the vintage fabrics.
Even if you're not a design lover or, an aficionado, I still think you want to be in beautiful spaces. And that's actually why you go to a Merivale venue, because it's going to be beautifully designed. So I think there is a level of expectation there that we're going to be surprised and delighted with, the spaces that we walk into.
Yeah. I should also add, we live with the spaces. So my design team, because they're in-house, we're constantly updating them. And when things break and tear, we're not a design team that designs and walks away. It stays with us in-house. Yeah. So we're constantly updating. If something's broken, if a fabric's not holding up well, we've got to reupholster it and learning from that process.
This is really interesting, actually. At what point did Justin and Bettina decide to have an in-house design team? So they brought you in because that was the transition point where they said, we want a whole in-house design team?
Yeah, so the in-house design team started 3 years ago. Okay. Prior to that, they had a small team of stylists. Right. And now, 3 years ago, we started an in-house design and styling team. So you're all in one and you obviously are at the head of it. That's really interesting to me because I think when you say you're living with these designs on a daily basis, like you are really then, I imagine, editing them all the time and you're so focused on keeping them at that level. Because I think one thing you see is somewhere will open, it's fabulous, it looks amazing. You go back 3 years later and it's lost its spark, it's je ne sais quoi, like it loses something in that time. So are you as a team committed to keeping things at a certain level or are you editing? So if you think something's not working, you're changing it. You've got that freedom to do that? Absolutely. That's honestly what sets Merivale apart in a lot of ways. I think we're always living with our spaces. We're updating it. We're thinking about them. We're thinking about how to improve them. And that goes from the menu, the food, all the way to the interiors. So my team focuses on the interiors, and that's what I can speak to. But yeah, like we looked at the press immediately a week after it was open, and we started to remove furniture because we realized people love to stand up. So like we removed some furniture. We're always having these conversations. We're in the space, we're looking at it, we're like, oh, people are gravitating to that space. That's a bit of a bottleneck. Let's shift that. Let's change that. Yeah. That banquette's not working. We got to remove it. Like, so we are always doing that. And it's such a cool part. I love, and I know my team love that part of the project, to be involved continually and to learn from the highs and the lows of a project and what's not gone well and what's gone well.
But to be able to be connected to a space like that and to watch the functionality of it, because I always say good design starts with functionality. You've got to get that floor plan right. And that's easier to do in a residential home where you can understand through the client what their needs are. But in a venue like that, a hospitality venue, I think the fact that you have this connection to it, I imagine a few nights out as well. Like, are you on the job or are you drinking? But to be able to edit and ebb and flow with it, that's wild. I mean,
you know, it's so funny to hear you say that because I find residential design so hard.
Oh, yeah,
like, I'm hard. Like, how do you do that? I don't know how to do it. It's, like, I find it more challenging than.
But I think there's, like, hearing you speak, it sounds like there's a bit of flex, which is nice because sometimes I think in resi you have to be prescriptive. There is. You've got to sort of really plan every detail out because you then hand it over and we walk away from it. We're not living in it. We can't see how they're going to function. And often if it's a new build or a renovation, the clients you're working with can't actually foresee how they're going to live in it. And so you're making a lot of assumptions for them and helping them through that. But you don't actually know until they move in what they're going to gravitate to or what feels more comfortable. You can make a whole lot of assumptions and it's very educated assumptions. But there's something so beautiful when I hear you speak about being able to watch the movement in the space and how people are using it. And I imagine too, let's use the press as an example, how it opened might be different to what it looks like in 6 months or 12 months as well, because they have life cycles, as venues have life cycles. So do you then adjust the design to kind of reinvigorate something, or if it's moving and changing from being a venue where you stand to maybe sit, then you might bring some of that furniture back. And
yeah, we do that. And but it's often not driven by us. Like, for example, the music might change. So like, hey, that jazz isn't working. Let's change it to rock music, which hasn't happened. But like these sorts of things probably are more of a driver than the interior. But yeah, it happens constantly because we're always evolving and the customer's evolving and like things need to be updated.
That's right. And I think you're working, from what I'm hearing, holistically as a team. So it's not like interiors sit over here and you're independent of the people who are making the decisions on food and music. And there's this lovely collaborative.
We have to try the food in order to know how to design.
Of course, you have to have the cocktails, number one, which were amazing, by the way.
Oh, that's so good.
I want to talk about creative integrity. And where do you feel the most free creatively? Like, what is it in your? I mean, we've touched on it, but where do you feel the most free?
I feel the most creative when I'm traveling and experiencing different spaces. I love going to different hotels and restaurants around the world. Like that, for me, just inspires me so much.
Yeah,
just traveling and being kind of out of my head is the best thing. I'm probably not the most creative when I'm sitting at my desk doing work. It's the spaces in between. It's the blanker moments, I think, where I feel the most creative.
The negative space.
I think so.
Where you have the space.
So.
And how do you capture these, like your things that inspire you? Do you have a ritual around that, or do you just sort of, it's in the bank?
It's all on WhatsApp. I'm like, hi guys, I was thinking we need a... My team's like, God, stop. She's had a thought again. Oh no.
Here we go. Oh, but how freeing, right? To be able to have an idea and to have like a team to be able to sort of workshop it through.
Oh yeah, that is the best. And with my team, can I just say, like, if I'm like, hey guys, I'm thinking that we needed this, and this in the hotel that we're designing. they'll take that idea and make it better somehow. Like just come up with new, interesting. I know you said you wanted it to be this color, but I tested this color and I felt like it worked better. And I know you wanted that tile, but I tried a new tile and just they're incredible. I couldn't do what I do without them.
It sounds like it's like one dopamine hit after another, after another.
Like, I know, I'm saying a lot of good things.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So I want to go back to this concept of being from migrant parents. You're in a leadership role, and a really important leadership role, because you're really influencing these very important public spaces that we all get to enjoy. How has that shaped you in terms of the way you lead and communicate ideas with your team? Like that level of responsibility that you have leading a team.
Yeah, it's so tricky. And I'm sure a lot of other people can resonate when I say, like, you just kind of never feel good enough. Even when you're thriving and the team's thriving, there's always something, there's always a little thing that you need, could be better. There's always a person struggling. It's probably the toughest part of my role is managing a team. There's a lot of balancing you need to do, a lot of personalities you need to take care of in order to make sure that they feel empowered, they feel they want to keep going. That is quite tricky, especially the team's got quite large. So that's probably the hardest for me, but also the most rewarding at the same time. When you see someone who's struggled and then they've become an even better designer, what's better than that?
It's the best feeling.
It's the best feeling. So watching some of my junior staff grow has just been so incredibly rewarding. Like seeing one of my team members on site commanding the builders, and she's quite young. I was just so impressed. It just made me so proud. It's the best and the worst part of the job, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, of course. Well, you're managing people and that's hard. What are some other challenging parts of the job?
It's a good question.
People want to know, because I think, it's such an interesting role. And as a designer, it's like I could only dream of what it would be like to be constantly, like my one job is to focus on doing hospitality, and that's all you get to do, and in a really creative way. So, yeah.
I think, like we mentioned before, I'm my biggest challenge in that I push myself a little bit too hard, and I sometimes don't know when to stop. So it's probably that is just like understanding my self-worth and my position in the room, and reminding myself that I'm here for a reason, and I've earned my position here, and also that I need a break sometimes. I think I struggle with that. I'm go. Like my husband he knows, he's constantly at me about like, take a break, stop, pause. So I think those are my biggest challenges, is more self-created challenges. Otherwise, God, the job is a dream job.
A dream job.
Absolute dream
absolutely.
job. Yeah.
So now that you have a level of awareness around the fact that you're go, do you have any rituals or anything that you try and do to put in place to slow yourself down, enjoy the moment? Self-care.
Yes. I have an incredible guardian angel friend who I was chatting to one day, and I think this is a great story because I think people can learn from this, but chatting to her, and we were talking about, because I used to have a long commute to work. It was about an hour and a half door to door when I was living.
You just recently sold your property, right?
Yes.
Okay. And where was that again?
Bilgola Plateau. So it's near Avalon.
It's beautiful.
So gorgeous.
Bilgola's gorgeous, yeah.
Incredibly beautiful. But that was one of the decisions that we made for quality of life, was working 5 days a week in the office and managing this team. It was really hard to do from that far to commute every day. So we made the choice to pick our quality of life, and we moved back closer to the city. So we did that quite recently, and I'm super grateful, but we did have to sell a house, which was really hard.
Because it was beautiful, and it was published as well. And it was gorgeous. I think I texted you before I even asked you to be on the podcast. Like, where did you get that sofa from? I really like it. Can you?
Love that. Oh, did you? I'm so glad. Okay, that's great.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I love that house, and I'm so grateful for everything it's given us. It was a dream house to have, like a mid-century home on the water. Just was my absolute dream.
Yeah.
Look, I had it for a year, so I had the dream for a year. But I remember
the other dreams.
Yes, exactly. On to the next house. Yeah. But I was chatting to a friend about my commute, and she's like, "What do you do on the commute?" And I was like, "Well, it's fabulous. I get to work an extra hour before I get into the office. I get all my emails done, so when I'm in the office, I can go." And then she's like, "What about the evenings?" And I'm like, "In the evenings, I answer all my WhatsApps to my team. So I just sit there and I get it all done." So she's like, "You're working from 6:45 till like 8 p.m. at night." every day. And I was like, yeah, it's great. And she's like, I'd love you to give that hour back to yourself and see what happens. So on my commute, I started to listen to podcasts, not about design. I listened to a podcast about intuition. I learned a new skill. She's like, I want you to give it back to yourself. So I started to read fiction and just give myself back those 2 hours a day. And I've managed to retain that even that now that we've moved. And it was an absolute game changer just to give myself an extra hour or two in the day on something that wasn't to do with design, but just for me. And
it's the negative space, right?
It's and now, like, I can think clearly. I arrive to the office and I'm not distressed. I arrive to the office and I have ideas.
Yeah, because we're in the business of being creative. And if your cup is empty or if you're in a state of constant anxiety, it's impossible to come up with those creative ideas. Because we're not just being creatives, we're problem solvers. And if you're running on empty, it's impossible to solve problems clearly and effectively.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the next phase, the next chapter for you. What's the next layer of your journey that you're stepping into look like? Do you have any idea?
Oh my God. I was actually talking about it this morning because I have no idea. But I do know that there is an evolution coming.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you just kind of feel like, I know there's something coming and there's change that needs to happen, especially as my team grows and as the projects, and there's so much we're working on at the moment. Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
But it sounds like you're very happy and content in the place you are at.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
That's awesome.
I mean, like I said, I could definitely have more balance.
Yes.
Like, I think any designer who's listening will know, like, we give everything.
Everything.
So it's just about having a bit more balance.
Yeah. Definitely.
And being more present, like we talked about.
Yeah. And enjoying the moment, not always sort of striving for that next thing. It's so hard. And I do think that bringing it back to heritage and being migrant kids, I do think there is something in that. It's subconscious. It's in our DNA. We're constantly trying to do better, be better, and not really just being present and enjoying the fruits of what we have. If you could speak to a young designer from a migrant background or a refugee background, someone who is maybe not feeling like they belong, what would you say to them?
I hope that my story resonates and I hope that they can see that anything is possible. But what I would say to any designer, because I know that there's a lot of people that are probably listening that are up and coming and who are maybe studying, I'd just say go for it. Like, really embrace and just try, give it a go. And then I would also think maybe don't see your career in such a linear way. It can take many shapes and forms. Like, I feel like I was able to do that because I did my own thing for a while and then I turned that off and then I went and I worked for a company doing direction and creative direction. So I think maybe try not to see it like it's so linear. Like, if you have your own business for a bit and you want to shut it down for a while, do it. No one knows or cares. You're shutting down an Instagram. Nobody is following. No one, I mean, not that nobody's following, but.
No, but I love this, honestly. I can't, personally, I love this because not that I'm not consistent because I work bloody hard, but I'm interested in a lot of things and I do try different things. And I personally think, oh my God, what are they going to think if I move out of this, move out of this space and I move into this space? And what are they going to think that I've started a podcast? Do they think that I'm not going to do design anymore? Like, this is the stuff that goes in my head. So this conversation, I can't thank you enough because it's giving me permission to get out of my head and just go, it's okay, we're creatives. And I think creatives need the space to be able to explore different things. And whether that's in a space itself, like a physical building, whether it's in our careers, whether it's in whatever form it is, I think we have to have the space to be able to try different things. So, I love what you're saying.
I love that because we are our worst critic in our mind.
We are. And it is just a perception of a perception.
Yes.
No one actually cares what I'm doing.
Nobody cares about you.
No one
cares about you, but nobody cares about you.
Exactly. But we think, oh my God, what is this person going to think? What is the industry going to think? The industry doesn't give a shit. Everyone's just trying to survive and do their their thing, and I think we've got to get out of our heads. So
big time.
Amazing. Yeah.
I think that is the biggest thing. I was speaking to a friend about it the other day, and similar thing. He was like, I loved chatting to you about your career and what choices you've made, because he's gone off to London and he's doing something completely different. He's not doing design and he's doing photography and all these other things. And I just was so proud and pleased that he was embracing not a linear thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe you want to be a photographer for a minute and then want to switch back, because you're right, we all have so many interests.
Yes, exactly. And we should be able to explore those things and not feel like we're going backwards, or because we were saying before, things happen. You got to trust the timing of your life. You have to just believe that everything's happening for your purpose. That is hard when it's, you're not in a good space. And when you're in it, you're like, oh my God, why am I doing this?
Yeah, so why is this happening to me? Why?
Why? But then retrospectively, you always look back and go, well, I had to go through that to experience that. And 100%. You can connect the dots. So if you could go back to your younger self, what would you whisper to her with all the knowledge that you have and the experience that you have now? If you could give her one piece of advice.
I'd probably start by saying you're going to be okay. You will be okay. You'll find your place in the world. And then I would also say you're going to have a brilliant life and an ace husband.
Ace husband.
I think growing up I was like, what is family life? What is this going to be? But yeah.
Did you... We're sort of digressing for a moment, but I'm curious from a migrant child perspective. Did you sort of have an idea of who you were going to marry? I'm not sure if anyone's going to be interested in this question, but I am, because
This is for us.
This is for us.
The girlies.
This is for the girlies. And the reason, there's two reasons. There's two parts to the reason I'm interested is because I think for me growing up, it's not a pressure, but there was an expectation that you would marry someone of your own culture and own religion and all of that. And I did marry someone of my own culture and more Orthodox. I'm Catholic, similar, same. So I ticked those boxes, and I also married someone who's totally ace, and I couldn't imagine my life without him, and he's the best. But that's not to say that when I was growing up, I didn't imagine what life would be like if I'd married someone outside of that. So I'm just curious, did you have that same thinking and experience? Because I've got 3 girls and they're second generation, and I have no idea what they're going to bring home or who they're going to bring home. And I've come to terms with being very accepting and loving, and hope that they choose a good life partner that suits them rather than the expectation of what it should look like.
Yeah.
So I'm curious.
Yeah, it's such a fun question, actually. I always thought I would marry an Iranian. I just in my mind was like, it's just so much easier. They can speak to my family and friends. Like they'll have that level of communication. They'll understand the craziness of being Iranian and like what our fiery household is like. An extended family, you know who you are. What they're all like. So I just assumed it would be so much easier just to go down that path until I met my husband. He was actually the first non-Iranian person I ever dated.
Yeah.
And he's German. Very, very different.
Did you meet him in London?
I actually met him. He was doing kind of like a gap year-y thing here. Okay. And then he moved over back to Germany, and then I moved to London, and then he came to London and we got married in London.
Oh, beautiful.
But my life is so much more richer for it. Having that difference, like it's incredible to compare notes kind of on family life and, the things like he will talk about how, because Germans can be a little bit cold, not that he's cold, but, and how like, my family's absolutely smothering and like full of that like love and energy and almost too much. So it's like either extreme, but Jan gets that love and that warmth from my family, and then we can have a little break, be with his family,
and the balance.
Exactly. And so it's been quite culturally really rich for both of us to learn and to create our own family and ask questions about what kind of family we want to design ourselves.
Yeah.
Design. Did you get that?
I love that. I did get that. That's amazing. But it's so beautiful because I think it's very inspiring, and I think my kids will be inspired by that story because I think they're sort of sitting there, they're late teens, early 20s, and this is totally not about design, except that you can design your life. It doesn't have to fit a particular mold. So I again, you're giving us permission to stand outside of the norm and have this like creative life and design it however we want. Yeah. Last question of the podcast that we ask everybody is, what does Build Beautiful mean to you?
It's really funny because my family knows this expression. I'm always saying, I want to have a beautiful life. I think it's in every aspect. It's in the physical space, it's in the mental space. But actually, speaking about the physical space, I think it's just about quality. It's about having those beautiful and lovely objects and things around you that you love and have great association for you. But it is such a great motto for life, I think, just to live beautifully.
Yeah,
live a beautiful life. And living an aesthetically beautiful life, I really encourage people to, because I think it clears the head. And if your home life is beautiful, things will fall into place. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Nurtures the soul. I
think
love
so,
it.
absolutely.
This has been the best conversation. I honestly, I could record for like another 2 hours
I know,
with you.
I'm like, do we have to end? This is so fun.
Thank
so
you,
nice
thank
to
you.
chat to you,
So
Linda.
good. Thank you for listening to Build Beautiful. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd follow the show, leave a review, or share it with someone who's building something meaningful. It matters more than you know. Follow us on Instagram at Build Beautiful Podcast. Until next time, keep creating with intention, and together we build beautiful.